1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't lived the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in they Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters gon' move, whatever click you choose.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a pro violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing on that intro song. If you want to get that song, hit me up on my email, 16tolifemusic@gmail.com, and I'll tell you how to go about it. Now, let's tap right up into today's video. So the other day when I dropped a video in relation to the extremely racial comments made by the father of Austin, METCALF, I was met with a little pushback in the comments, right? And some people said that I played the race card and so on and so forth, right? And to me, it's kind of crazy that at times when you happen to point out the obvious about a situation, if it involves another race, at times you may get accused of playing the race card, right? When I definitely did not play the race card. What I did is gave you guys my opinion and then historical facts on why you will have basically some black people, what seemingly appears to be blindly supporting Carmelo Anthony or other black people in situations that involve legal situations, because historically, it is no question. It's no question. Historically, minorities and black people have got the short end of the stick, and at times they have been straight fucked over by the legal system. Let's keep it 100, man. Rodney King, they beat the shit out of that dude on tape. Those officers should have been found guilty of something. But what did they do? They moved the trial outside of Los Angeles to a pretty much all-white town where the jurors would be more sympathetic to the officers and likely be found not guilty. And I'll be damned if that's exactly what happened. Now, right, listen, I didn't make the situation racial. Austin Metcalf's dad made it racial by saying what he said, right? Initially, he comes out, he talks about he's a Christian, right? So if you're a Christian, you have the mind frame that everybody is God's people. There is no separation because of race, right? So he chose to do that, right? Black people didn't make it the situation racial. You had some black people who made the situation racial, but not all black people. So for him then in turn to make statements that was an attack on all black people was, to me, showing exactly who he was, right? I'm paraphrasing here. Somewhere in that video that I showed, he said, I'm allowing myself today to say what I really feel, when a lot of times I don't say what I really feel. So if he makes statements attacking me, right, because I'm in the race that he was attacking, how am I supposed to have sympathy for him, man? Fuck him, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? Because he made statements clowning, disrespecting all black people as a race, right? But I think many of us are failing to realize, I mean, I seen it. He didn't see it. he had a lot of black people supporting him, right? There was a lot of black people who supported him, who said Carmelo Anthony was dead wrong, right? And this is just stuff that I found in 2 or 3 minutes of researching, right? So let me show you guys some clips of black people supporting Austin Metcalf and saying Carmelo Anthony was wrong.
Community.
On behalf of the black community, I would like to apologize to the parents of Austin Metcalf for making a hero out of the young man that killed your son. I apologize that there are so few fathers around and so few male figures around to teach the black community about emotional discipline, about what's right from wrong, about emotional regulation, about not making a hero out of a thug and a criminal. I apologize on behalf of the black community because they are the ones that are raising money for your son's killer. They are the ones that are funding this new lavish lifestyle.
I'm making this video because I'm actually appalled by a lot of you African Americans. The amount of people that are in the comments saying, well, he touched him. Adults, mind you. He touched him. He got what he got. Maybe he shouldn't have touched him. Yeah, he lost his life and so did that kid. Not only that, y'all are encouraging them to throw their lives away for getting pushed. You're encouraging them to go to jail for getting pushed. What kind of fucking adults are you? Not only that, you're like, oh, he'll be home in 17 years. He'll be home in 17 years. You understand that a black boy just stabbed a white boy and murdered him in Texas. He will be in the jails in Texas for killing a white boy. And you're talking about he's going to be home in 17 years? The way that y'all are encouraging people to do so is crazy. And yes, you guys are encouraging it because you guys are justifying what the fuck he did, when what he did was dead ass wrong. Not only that, reading comprehension is crucial. Not only that, but actually looking things up for yourself. Reading the court documents for yourself. The amount of y'all that are saying that he got jumped, where, when, where were the witnesses? Y'all are making shit up. You're making shit up. Not a single witness out of like 20, including teachers, said that he got jumped. Including the black kids in the tent said that he got jumped. Not a single fucking one.
So once again, you saw that he had black people supporting him, right? So why didn't he leave his negative comments, his disrespectful comments just towards Carmelo Anthony's family or Charleston White, individuals who may have disrespected him? No, he chose to disrespect the entire black race. So once again, it's fuck you. Why should I be sympathetic to him if he has disrespected me? There are times when I will do stories about dubs, right? You will have some Mexicans come on here. They call me mayates. They disrespect my parents. They say all types of crazy shit, right? That still does not in turn make me come on here and disrespect the entire Mexican race, because I have no ill will toward the entire Mexican race, right? So I'm not going to allow a situation to put hate in me towards a race that I don't have. It's just not going to happen, right? I deal with those who disrespect me. I'm not going to disrespect the entire race. And once again, man, I get some of the most horrendous things said about me sometimes by individuals who support dubs. Dudes will literally go back and forth with me in the comments, right, behind a individual who made the choices that he made, right? I have never put any lies or untruths on the man. So that's the situation, right? Playing the race card is this, right? Say I go to a restaurant. I pull up. I'm driving down the street. I pull up at a restaurant. I say, okay, that looks like a good place to eat. I get out. I go and I say, hey, man, you know what? I want to come eat here. And they say, okay, well, we're crowded right now. It's going to be about a 30-minute wait. I say, okay, cool. I'm waiting 2 or 3 minutes. I see a white dude come up. And he goes, he tells him his name, he goes on in. Then I see another white family 5 minutes later, they go on in. They check in and go right in. Then another white family. And I say, hey, man, you just letting those guys in because they're white? Oh, man, you don't want me to eat here because I'm black? That's playing the race card. While unbeknownst to me, these white people are going in because they have made reservations. That is playing the race card. By me pointing out historically, black people have been fucked over by the legal system. That's not playing the race card. That's stating why I feel you have some black people who cannot separate their disgust at how black people are at how black people are treated in America from these situations. And that's why it's not the race card. That's a fact, right? Let me give you guys, because I want to keep this video brief, but let me give you guys 2 cases that occurred in Texas that seem extremely crazy to me, right? First, we're going to talk about Casey Allison. He's a white dude who stabbed a dude by the name of Jose, I believe it is Jose Joe, they called him Joe for short, Luis Ramirez, I believe Jr. was his name, right? So these dudes get into it, they having a back and forth, right? For whatever reason, they're going back and forth. Now, at some point in time, Casey Allison tells his former friend, who also happened to be the former girlfriend of Jose, I'm going to hurt that dude. I want to put that dude in the hospital. I want to have that dude on life support. This is what's found if you research the trial testimony, right? So they go to the bathroom. Jose punches Casey Allison, and then Jose's brother punches Casey Allison's friend. Casey Allison produces a knife and repeatedly stabs Jose and takes Jose's life. The matter ends up going to trial, and I believe they find him eventually, even though he was charged with murder, they find him guilty of negligent homicide, and he gets 10 years. Even though Casey Allison, who is white, had made threats about he wanted to have this dude put on life support, right? To me, it seems like it is a very different legal system for white people, right? Now I'm going to give you guys another situation that happened in Texas. You have an individual by the name of Alec Adamson, who happened to be white. Him and his friend, they go to meet an individual. I believe his last name was Davenport, right? But the perpetrator of this crime is Alec Adamson, and him and his friend, right, who are selling illegal paraphernalia. They go to meet this black dude. Now, there was different testimony about what really occurred, right? But there was no disagreement that at some point in time, the black dude grabs the items that he's supposed to be purchasing. He takes off running from the car. He meets them in the car. He reaches in the car at some point. He grabs the items. He takes off running. Alec Adamson jumps out the car while this guy is running and shoots him in the back of the head and kills him, right? Eventually it goes to, and then they drive off, they take off, they get into a police chase, they crash, and the police eventually apprehend Alec and his friends. So you have 2 dudes who are pushing illegal narcotics. 2 drug dealers. You got 2 drug dealers, right? Eventually it goes to trial. They concoct the story that this dude was punching. He was punching the 2 dudes in the car, Alec and his friend Matt. I believe his last name is Sheeler, right? Sheeler or something like that. Schiller or something like that. So they concoct this story. There was no other collaborating evidence to show that he was actually attacking them. But even if he had stopped the attack. He was clearly running away with the items he had took, right? He jumps out the car once again, shoots the guy in the head. It goes to trial. They eventually find him guilty of negligent homicide or something like that, and he gets 10 years. He gets 10 years. I believe the last dude that I spoke of, Allison, he got 4 years, right? So you mean to tell me if the situation was reversed, you would have 2 black guys in Texas dealing illegal narcotics, and then he jumps out and shoots a white dude in the back of the head? He would be given 10 years in prison? Come on, man. I mean, you guys go and research the cases yourself, right? And so it's things like this that happens, right? It's things like this that happens that makes black people extremely distrustful and hateful of the legal system, right? And so for those individuals who it doesn't happen to, of course you can't relate to it because it's not happening to you. You see it as people complaining, whining, so on and so forth, just like with the slavery issue. I've so often heard white people tell blacks they should move on. Slavery was X amount of years ago. How are you guys still worried and concerned about that, so on and so forth, right? I'll never forget when I was in prison. I was watching this show. The show is where the black dude goes and he basically does family research of your family tree. I don't know if you guys recall the black dude at one point in time. It was him, Obama, and a white officer. They had something going on and they sat down and had a beer at the White House or whatever behind some type of, situation, and they rectified it by doing that, right? But this black dude, he had a show, an extremely famous show for researching people's history. He do your DNA research and all that old type of stuff, right? So some white lady is on there about researching her family history. She's interested in going back, and so she comes on the show, and this is like, I don't know, in I want to say in 19 in the late 1990s or somewhere. I don't know, 1999, maybe 2005, 10. I don't know exactly when it was, right? But she comes on the show, right? And this dude, he does research on her family history, right? So he goes way back into like the 18, he goes back, and like I said, this is maybe 2000 and maybe 9 and 10, maybe this happened in. He goes way back into the 1800s somewhere, researching her family. He finds out where she's from and all that old type of stuff. And he goes to the library and he gets these newspaper articles, and he comes to find out that her great grandfather, somewhere up in there, some man that she never met due to the age distance and the time, she never even would have had a chance of meeting, because he was born so long ago. She finds out that through this newspaper article, he was horrifically killed. I forget exactly what happened to him, but he was horrifically killed. Maybe some people tried to rob him or whatever, right? And when he's reading this article to her about a man who she didn't even know existed before that day on the show. She'd never heard of this great-great-great-grandfather, whatever he was. As he's reading the story, she suddenly starts sobbing uncontrollably. She was extremely hurt because it hurt her to learn that a person who she was related to, even though she had never knew this individual, his life was savagely taken. Now, if she can be upset at hearing something like that in a newspaper article 200 or 300 years old, how the hell do people expect black people not to be angry, knowing how their people was treated, victimized, and the horrendous things that was done, man? Do you guys realize in order to get those slaves over here, they would have to literally spend almost a year on the bottom of a ship, chained next to each other, using the bathroom, women going through their menstrual cycle. They down there chained up to each other with very little to eat, using the bathroom, chained next to each other and stuff for months upon months upon months. Every 2 or 3 weeks, then they would be allowed to come to the top of the ship while they would go down there and hose that area off. Can you think about the smell and the stench and the conditions of what it was like? And some people, somebody in my comments said, oh, well, basically slavery was going on over there in Africa 89 years before the white people came over there, right? Well, historically, if you know anything about history, man, when in times of war, people who was indigenous to the same land would often capture other people indigenous to that same land and enslave them in times of battle. Indians did it to their own people. The Greeks and all them people back in those times, they did it, right? But that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it right that another person would come over here from a different country and take people away and put them in a slave condition that is extremely worse than how when Indians would capture other tribes, Indians from other tribes and use them as slaves. It's a totally different thing. And even if it wasn't, Even if it wasn't, it still does not make it right. But then once again, those conditions were so horrific. Like I say, once again, chained to a person. Can you imagine being chained to a person where you're laying down under a ship in an area down there, somewhat like a basement, 600-700 people down there chained, everybody stinking and using the bathroom on each other and this and that. And sometimes when they would come to the top of the ship so they could clean it, you'd have people jump overboard, people who couldn't even swim. And so it got to the point where these sharks would swim after these slave ships because they knew that people would be jumping overboard, or people who would be dying underneath the ship would be thrown overboard. So these sharks would start to trail these ships, and people would see the sharks and they still would jump over into the water because they preferred death over what was going on down underneath. It's just so much horrific stuff, right? It's crazy how people will expect some people just to forget about stuff like this. And in closing, I want to say this, right? Some of you guys may be old enough to remember a group called MADD, MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, right? This was a prominent group back in the 80s, and the group was exactly what I said it was, the acronym. Mothers who had their sons killed by drunk drivers, right? This is something that I've always used as an analogy. In my opinion, I bet you 95 to 97% of the women who joined Mothers Against Drunk Drivers never gave a fuck about that until their son was killed. So my whole point is, until something affects you, you don't care about it. You're not bothered by it because you cannot have empathy for that situation. Empathy is going through a situation and you can understand. Sympathy is just feeling sorry for somebody in a situation. So once again, none of those mothers, I'm pretty sure, ever even thought about joining MADD until their son or daughter was killed by a drunk driver. So until something has affected you, it's easy to dismiss it and say, hey, those people are whining, those people are crying, so on and so forth. But let it happen to you, and then you would have a different outlook on the situation, man. So in closing, Austin Metcalf's dad still could have chose just to be angry at the people who disrespected him. He's the one who made it entirely racial by disrespecting an entire black race with a lot of racial sentiments and accusations and images and words that obviously was already in him from the get-go. It just brought the right situation to bring it out of him, right? If you do not believe in putting your hands on your mother, nothing your mother does or says could ever make you put your hands on your mother. That's just an analogy, right? If you happen to just wake up one day and find out that your mother has stole $50 out of your piggy bank and you slap her, you always felt going upside your mother's head was right. Some people in this day and age don't care about their mother, right? So that's just my way of saying that Austin Metcalf's father said those things because he always believed them. It just took the right situation to bring it out. Anyway, man, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.